will ever be.
Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with Lorraine.
Hi.
And I have to say, I felt a little bad last week that I didn't offer to hold your chicken while you bathed it.
Oh, yeah, really?
I did. I felt a little guilty after that. How did it go?
Yeah, it was a good experience. Well, everybody should experience that. Really?
On everyone's bucket list.
Yeah, it should be. Yes,
Bathe the chicken.
Yes, well, I conned my husband into it, and you know, we did pretty well. We've done it before. I've taken pictures of it before and posted them on Facebook, but he didn't give me time this time to post me. He said, quick, I hear Dickie coming next door. Don't let him see me holding this chicken, giving it a bath. And she wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought she was. So, yeah, nice. We got nice fluffy butts now. I love the fluffy butts.
Nice. Nice to condition too.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's all they all fluff up right nicely.
Aww.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, what are you drinking there?
Oh yeah, my I hate water.
That's pretty.
So it's got cucumbers and lemon slices and strawberries.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I have to disguise water because
Nice.
I hate to drink water.
I should do that too. So why are you drinking that, Lorraine?
Oh yeah, because I gotta lose some weight. So I mentioned I gotta lose some weight to get into my cowgirl outfit.
Okay, now this is news.
What?
What is the cowgirl outfit?
Well, you know, it's like cowboy fast draw. My husband's a cowboy.
Really?
Yeah.
No! Oh my gosh, I learned something new. Chickens and cowgirls here.
No, he's cowboy fast draw. Oh yeah, and I can shoot a little bit, but I haven't competed because, you know, you really gotta have a waist. You know, they say,
holster?
oh, you don't have to have a waist. I'm like, oh yeah, before I put that outfit on, I'm gonna have a little bit more of a waist.
So do you get on a horse and ride around with a gun?
No, that's a different one. That's the rifle one. No. He just stands and, you know, you're all dressed in your cowboy outfit.
Yeah.
And you have your cowboy names and he's fast too. I mean, he's very fast.
Where do you do this?
Well, we do it right here in Orrington, or we do it in Belfast.
How did I not know about that?
Belfast. Yes. Belfast. Blue Hill has a big one. He went to Virginia. He came in really well in Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a
I gotta
big
check
thing.
out this.
Fine. Look it up on video.
Oh my
on
gosh.
YouTube, you look up Cowboy Fast Draw.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe there's a new hobby in my future.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's great fun because, you know, you get to pick a cool name, and then you get to, you know, there are all kinds of names like Cowboy Whiskey and Johnny Bourbon and all kinds of nicknames.
Oh, nice. Well, speaking of funny names, we're going to try to get the names correct on today's Ask a Crafter, but if not, we're just going to make up a name, I think.
Okay, that sounds good. MVASS 294 Erver.
Or, as we like to call her, Sally.
Sally is good. Hey, you two love the commentary about the chickens. Like many people, I too am loving both of your necklaces. So with that said, I have two questions. How do you make them both? And second, I have a question about my memento dewdrop pins. I like that question. Not the other one, but I have that question too. My necklace on dewdrops. Dewdrop pins.
Well, let's wait. We should talk about the necklace first. I have a video tutorial on the necklace I wore last week, and yours was made with
just single crochet, strands of single crochet.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the yarn.
I think it's ladder yarn.
Ladder?
I think it's a type of yarn called ladder, but there's different brands. It
because it's different colors.
Brands.
Yeah, it's two black strips and then different colors going up through it.
It might be called Incredible or something. It looked like a line brand ladder yarn.
Oh,
but any
pretty.
ladder yarn. Yeah, it's pretty.
I love that.
So single crochet, just many strands in it. Hey, easy as pie.
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Okay, the dewdrops. What was the question around that?
I have a multi-pack of dewdrops from my local Hobby Lobby. I use them often, and some of the colors are just fine and others are dried out. They're usable, but I think because they sat on the shelf too long, their color isn't as vibrant as it once was, and the pads of some of the colors, particularly the London Fog, are drier than others. How do I revive them?
Okay, well, you need your glycerin. Take a spray bottle, add, I would say about a teaspoon of glycerin, the rest water. This is about a 4-ounce bottle from Paper Mart. Give it a good shake and spray the pads. And as long as there's ink in there, this is going to refresh them. The water's going to moisturize it and revive the ink. The glycerin's going to keep it moist and keep it from getting too thin. So that's all you need to do for that. I do know that Joann.com has reinkers, the Memento reinkers. So you can buy the reinkers and just reink those pads and keep them forever and ever. I do that for my scrapbook. I have all the set of the Mementos in my scrapbook bag.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, I do too. And so you can get the reinkers, wait for them to have them like 40 or 50% off because they do that quite often, and order the colors you need. Other places have them too. You might be able to find them at your stamp shows, maybe even your local stamp store if you have one, but it's hard to beat the price at Joann.com. They ship to the United States and Canada except Quebec because of language laws. So if you're in these areas, you'll be able to get them.
Okay. And Emin M&M says, M&M.
Or Teresa.
Yeah, I really would like your help. My Prismacolors are just breaking over and over. Any tips, or is this the inside just broken?
Oh my gosh, best tip. I found a website that said to microwave them. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it before I tell anybody else to do it. So I took this one. This one breaks all the time. I'd even sharpened it from both ends. So both ends were completely empty. It was broken. So I popped it in the microwave for 10 seconds on high. Actually, I just put it in and I hit the 30-second button and I let it count down. And I just watched. I wanted to make sure I didn't see the paint starting to bubble and peel. And then I took it out and let it cool for about a half an hour. And then I'm like, I'm going to put this in my electric sharpener, because if it doesn't break in the electric sharpener, then it's good. Perfect. The leads are in there nice and secure. You can see on this end, there's a couple little, like, you got some divots, and I think that's probably where there was like an air bubble where it melted, but that worked really well. And another tip is, if you're out drawing and your lead comes out, you can super glue it in. A viewer left me that tip one day when I was doing a demo and my pencil lead broke and fell out. Super glue it in, and you can sharpen right through the super glue later. Oh. So if you're going to work a lot away from home, you might just want a little tiny thing of super glue in your box and you'll be good to go. But that's microwaving, I couldn't believe it. That worked, and there's the proof is in the pudding right there.
Great.
Yeah.
Debbie has a storage question. You give such good advice on how to store ink pads by type or ink on ink. So can you tell me tips on how to store adhesive by type of product in order to use with ease, especially the new fine glue pens?
I don't use the glue pens. I use Mod Podge and a stick. I basically dip.
I saw that the first time.
It works great. It works great. I just dip a little skewer in there and spread it on the back of my die cuts, and it works great even for the finest things. But I have all my adhesive in a box. In my my big thing over there, I had my husband make a big bench with big open spaces so I could just shove big unwieldy things. I have a huge box that's full of my adhesive. That's all I do.
Yeah.
So you could probably search on Pinterest for glue storage solutions and find some ideas that would appeal to you. I just throw them in a box and call it a day.
That sounds good to me. Now I even label the boxes. That's really handy.
Did I write glue on? No, I didn't even write glue on the end, but you can see in them.
Oh, okay. Brenda says, I understand that alcohol ink is for non-porous surfaces. I'm not able to get it to stick to aluminum tape. I made a mermaid out of aluminum tape and would like to paint the tail with a translucent or opaque ink, paint, or whatever. Any suggestions? Yeah,
well, the alcohol ink should stick. Maybe it's a little greasy. It might have a little bit of oil on it from the extrusion process when it was made. So what I would do is I would take the tape and wipe it down with some alcohol or some acetone, like nail polish remover, and let that dry, and then try coloring it with your alcohol inks. If that's not sticking still, which I really think it's going to stick after that, but if it doesn't, you could try a transparent glass paint, such as PBO or gallery glass, any of those glass paints, because they're designed to stick to a slick surface, but you'll probably want a transparent one so the metallic can show through.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, but I bet it's just a little oily from where it came off the machinery when it was made.
Oh, okay. Linda asks, when you make cards to sell, do you put an insert inside for people to write on? In other words, an additional piece of cardstock stuck to the writing side. Also, for selling watercolors, do you mail them and put the painting and the mat inside the plastic cover for sale, or do you just sell the painting for $25 or so? Thank you so much. I truly enjoy all you do.
Okay, for the cards, if my card base is a dark colored cardstock, then I will put an insert in there to so that it can be written on. If I have some leftover paper, like when I made the tool card the other day, is that package? I might have that right here out in the open. Right, I do. So like I made the envelope first, and I had that leftover paper to go with this card. I just put it on the inside.
Ooh, nice.
And with a little die cut label with another scrap, because I had it all out anyway. So I will do that. Or, I just kind of case by case. If it's just on a white card base and it's fine, I probably wouldn't. It just depends on what I feel like that day. And then I stick them in a clear envelope and put them in a basket for sale. The watercolors, I usually, for sale, I mat them, and then I slide them in a clear bag, and I actually have some coming from Paper Mart, which I'm excited to try out their large clear bags. I just bought some. They're going to come with my order of stuff for my tutorials, too. And that's great because it keeps them clean and displayed nicely while they're also out being, being on display.
Touched.
Yep, and then you can usually slide one of those right into you can get a big mailer usually to slide them in. If it's over 11 by 14, I usually will roll it into a tube because it's just so pricey to mail large flats like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It kills you, shipping. And I hate to charge shipping, but you have to pay it.
But
it's crazy.
Have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Twainy asks, can you incorporate watercolors into a face in your journal so you can mix it up with markers, pencils, or whatever? Can you explain the difference between praying and peerless and liquid watercolors? And there's another question too. You want to answer that one first? Can you incorporate watercolors into a face journal?
Yeah.
What do you recommend for a newbie?
Okay, yeah, I think that's all that all goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah, watercolors is a great base layer to put in your journal because it's going to absorb into the paper a little bit. You can work over it with pens and markers and pastel, and it's a lot of times, like when I'm doing a painting, I'll do an underpainting with watercolor and then go over it with pastel or colored pencil or watercolor crayon, or you could even go over it with oil pastel or acrylic paints just to, kind of get that area covered quickly. So yeah, absolutely mix it up, and maybe I'll do that in one of my mixed media fun programs so you can see that. As far as watercolor, Prang is a pan style watercolor set. You can get it at most any department store, office supply store, art supply store, very inexpensively. The paint is nice and transparent, vivid, and high quality. You can get most artist supply artist grade watercolors will also come in pans. So if you like to have your paint already in a little kit with little cakes of color, Winsor & Newton, they even have that in their Cotman line, their artist line, all Grumbacher, Yarka, they all make pan colors. They're harder to find, you usually have to order them. Peerless is like a little booklet, and on the paper is the watercolor, and I've used it just once or twice. Like there was a demo at this.
I bought some of those. Had to have them. Never used them. I don't know what to do. I don't remember.
Oh, well, you wet your brush and you just lift it up. The only thing that worries me is that I'm kind of a messy painter, and I tend to spill things and splash things. And if you splash water on that, you could stick your pages together and get it all running together. Yes.
Mine is staying very nice.
Yes, yours are perfect. So I probably wouldn't recommend the Peerless unless you're someone who likes to travel and needs to keep it really compact. And other than that, you have tube and liquid watercolors. Liquid watercolors I use for making spray mists and covering large areas, but generally not for painting so much. Tube watercolors, she also mentioned that somebody told her not to use the Cotman watercolors and squeeze them in the pan and let them dry. I think that's rubbish. I think a lot of artists are snobs, and they were taught to, buy artist quality, buy the best you can afford, don't bother with anything else. And that was probably fine 30 years ago, but guess what? We have competition now. We have a free market, and we have hundreds of paint companies, and there's many that are as good as Winsor & Newton. M. Graham, for instance, retails much lower cost than Winsor & Newton, and that's why I went with them, because at the time where I was looking to rebuy my watercolors, it was about 15 years ago, I was looking at all the brands, and my local art supply store had M. Graham. It was Penobscot Paint back then, and it was 40% off list. And their list price was still less than Winsor & Newton, and the bottles were bigger, the tubes were bigger, and so I just took a chance and bought them, and I love them, and they stay moist in the pan. They have honey in them. None of them have molded or spoiled, and they're good as the day I poured them in, and I just refill as I need to. So the M. Graham's great, Da Vinci's really nice, and that's very affordable. There's a lot of really good companies out there, and especially if you find a new one that does artist grade paint, you can usually save quite a bit of money by kind of being an early adopter. So I think if you get an artist grade paint, you're going to be fine. But M. Graham and Company is a good value, great quality paint. Cotman's good too. I wouldn't turn my nose up at that either. So go to your art supply store and ask the person that works there. They should be able to, because everyone carries different brands. They all have different contracts with different companies. But I would try any of those.
Yeah, what about the fixative in place of Aquanet?
Absolutely. You can use fixative on your art journal pages so that you can seal some lower layers of media before you go over it with the Mod Podge and stuff. Yeah, I use Aquanet because I'm cheap. Fixative's even better.
Okay, Sylvie Byrne says, hi, I've noticed a lot of stores are releasing their own ink pads lately. Simon says, stamp, Ginka design. Their cases very much look the same, and they all say it's made in the USA, so I was wondering if they all use the same company to make them, and if so, what's the name of the company? And Heidi asks my opinion about having so many ink pads on the market.
Okay. It's Gina K Designs.
Oh.
Ginka. I like Ginka, though. Ginka's cute.
I'm thinking of Ginkgo. I don't know.
Well, I know Colorbox makes a lot of the ink pads out there right now. They make Stephanie Bernard. They make Donna Salazar. They make several. If you go to the Clear Snap website, you can see the different companies they make ink for. I did a little Google search, and I didn't see any other companies that made as many as them. But I think there's a lot of ink out there, and I understand a lot of stampers like to stay, if they like so-and-so stamps and color line, like Paper Tray Ink has their line of colors and their stamps and their line of papers and felt, and they want to keep everything in that color line, same as Stampin' Up. I can understand that, but I think it's a little unnecessary, and I think it almost makes us feel like we have to buy every single kind out there, where pigment ink is pigment ink. Maybe a little different between lines, but pigment ink is pigment ink. Dye-based ink is dye-based ink. You know, you might have one company that has a foam dye-based pad, and one that has a felt dye-based pad, and one that has a fabric-topped one, so you can like pick your preference there and get exactly what you want. But I think a lot of these companies are not going to stick around, and also a lot of these companies don't even make re-inkers, so you're buying the pad once. And that, like, I think is
that's kind of a business.
Some company just came out with a new set, and they were really cute, and they were a little bit smaller than regular pads, but there's no re-inkers. It's like, I'm not buying a pad if I can't get a re-inker for it.
Yeah,
you know?
That makes sense.
Yeah, make sure whatever you buy, you can get a re-inker, and I would try to buy it from a company that looks like they're going to be around for a while, like Memento, which is Sukaniko, or I'm probably saying it wrong, but you know that company.
I can't correct you on that one. Sandy wants to know how to unmount her wood-mounted stamps. I did that years ago. Yeah. I thought I wanted them off, and now I wish I had them all back on the.
I won't unmount mine unless they don't
I
stamp
love the
well.
wooden stamps now.
I do too. I do too. But if you do want to unmount them, pop them in the microwave for a few seconds.
Good old microwave.
And then they'll peel right off the block. And if the foam comes off intact, you could slap a little like vinyl, like the stuff that you get from you know, to cover up your tablecloth. You know, from Joanne you can buy the yardage of vinyl.
Oh yes,
you could stick that on the back if it's really sticky. If it's only slightly sticky, you could just leave it as is and stick it to your block. So it depends on how sticky it is. Or you can replace the foam, or you can just use tack it. Tack it over and over. I need to tack it over and over on there, and that will.
I love it.
I do too. And that will work.
Donna says, I just bought a melting pot and wonder if you have one and what you use yours for. I want to use it for covering some jewelry and possibly making little pieces in silicone molds. Any ideas of any other frugal uses for it and things I can sell? I'm at home with my husband who's ill and need to add to our income. I was thinking of an Etsy shop.
All right. The thing to remember is that if you're using embossing enamel for jewelry, is it's not very durable and it scratches. So it's not a big deal if you're doing like a colored embossing enamel on something that's rigid that's not going to get bent. But if it's something that has any flex to it, the embossing enamel is going to crack. So if you do use that, make sure it's on something that is really rigid, like on a tile or on a piece of wood that's not going to bend, something that's really rigid. Something you might want to use instead would be diamond glaze. I was thinking epoxy, but if you're at home with your husband and he's not well, I would not have the fumes in. That's really stinky stuff. I don't have a melting pot. I have a crock pot. 2 minutes left. Probably less because I started my thing late. I was distracted by the cowgirlness of it all. So I don't have a melting pot. I have a crock pot that I use for melting my wax. You can melt wax in there. And make your own, make candles. Embossing powder. What else could you melt in? Do you have a melting pot?
No, but I was in a class once and they had one, and that was quite a disaster.
Yeah. I wasn't sold on that. You could use friendly plastic in it.
It was a lot of work. I mean, it just I don't think it's worth it. We made a mess, and we didn't get much done.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
Can you take that back? Can you take your melting pot back? Because we don't like that. We don't care for that. Get yourself a crock pot. And some diamond glaze. Judykins. Yay.
Oh, yeah. Diamond sounds good.
Yeah.
We got time for one more?
Yes.
Paula asks, what are the best mediums to seal an inkjet image with before you use wet mediums on top?
A blast with a heat gun does pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
You can color over it with some wax. You can give it a spray of hairspray or fixative. Any of those.
Oh, okay. Melissa says, on the pre-scored cards from the craft store, which way am I supposed to fold the card? Towards the indent or away?
You want the indent on the outside. You want the bump on the inside so you don't see that.
Oh, you do?
Yes, bump on the inside. I know it seems weird.
I never knew that.
Well, let's see. I didn't edit that. I didn't edit that question right. I'm actually gonna let this go a couple minutes longer because that was my mess up. Okay, so Melissa wanted to know the difference between the Faber-Castell crayons, artists' crayons, crafters' crayons, and the Crayola twist-up crayons, which look pretty much the same. I think the big difference is price. obviously. The Crafter's crayons are way more expensive, and the Crayola, they're pricey for crayons, but they're not that bad. And I think part of it, and I know we feel like we get ripped off when we see stuff that's really high, but you also have to think about who it's marketed to and how much they can sell, because kids, all kids color.
Yeah.
So you've got a huge market to sell those crayons to.
Right.
So you can produce millions of them and produce them for a low cost. But when you're just looking at the craft market, and only a small section of the craft market is going to be into the mixed media, and you're producing those, you can maybe produce thousands and hope to sell them. So your production costs are going to be higher. So that's part of the reason why they're a lot more. Quality-wise, I bet they're pretty darn close. I've tried a lot of the Faber-Castell mixed design mixed media, design memory craft, whatever that, design memory craft, like the gelatos and stuff, and it's been comparable to student grade or craft grade supplies, not artist grade, but they have artist grade price tags on them. So I would really try the Crayolas and see if they do the trick for you before I would invest in the Faber-Castells, or buy a big package of the Crayolas and a little package of the Faber-Castells and try it for yourself. But I haven't used them, but that's my recommendation.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Amber Cook wonders if it is a good option to buy the largest pack of Inktense pencils so that I can have more options even when using a limited color palette on one project. What's the best watercolor tubes that you recommend that are quality, are reasonably priced, and can last squeezed out in a palette?
Okay. Oh yeah, another watercolor question. Well, I think I discussed the watercolor paints already, so I'm not going to answer that part because I already did. I would buy the largest set of Inktense pencils that you can afford. I know that Amazon and Blick, well, it's actually Blick has an Amazon store, so both places have had them for about $70 for the set of 72, which is expensive.
But that's
when you figure that's $1 a pencil, and when you figure how long a pencil lasts, I mean, it's hard to beat colored pencils and watercolor pencils for for longevity and for how much you get and for how much you pay. So I would recommend getting the largest set you can afford. Shop around, look for some bargains. I would get the big set. If you can't find or afford the big set where you live, because I know in other countries they don't have even the option of getting those larger sets, then I would get the largest set you can find, and then hopefully you can find a website. I know Blick offers the single pencils for about $1.15 a piece, so it's not that bad. So even if you started out with a smaller set and you want to add some more colors, you could do that as well. They're my favorite watercolor pencils. So I would, because I only use like about 6 to 8 colors in any given card, but they won't be the same 6 or 8 each time.
Right.
So yeah, I would go with this the biggest set you can afford. It's the set of 72 ideally. I mean, they're wonderful. I don't think you would regret it.
No.
If you
all
and
those
if you can't,
colors to choose from.
Yeah. And if you can't afford it, get a small set and just buy it as you can. Buy a few as you can.
Right. Ms. Sarah 999 would like some brush basics. What's the difference between oil, watercolor, and acrylic brushes?
Okay. You can get like synthetic, you can get nylon brushes for watercolor, oils, or acrylics. You can get natural bristle brushes. Usually the ones for watercolor are very absorbent, so they can hold a lot of paint and pigment, and so you can make you can really cover a lot of area with what is in your brush. You generally have softer brushes for watercolor, so it doesn't hurt the paper, but a lot of brushes can be used for other things. But the thing to keep in mind is to keep your brushes keep them together. So if you have a set of acrylic brushes, don't use them for oils. Keep them for your acrylics. If you have a set of oil brushes, keep them for your oils, because you don't want any oil residue getting into your watercolors or your acrylics. I'll occasionally take like a stiff watercolor oil brush or something just for a special effect on a watercolor, but it's usually a clean one that I haven't used yet. And also with your acrylic and your oil brushes, like these could be used for either. They have long handles because they're designed to be working at an easel, whereas watercolor brushes generally have short handles that are meant for sitting and working at your table. I'm just seeing if I can find one with the beveled scrapers. No, it's not beveled. Watercolor brushes also usually have, I'm trying to reach over and grab one, will have often acrylic handles, and they'll have a little beveled end for scraping the paper, scraping in details and stuff, just to give it a little more usefulness. And I like it, but you can get the acrylic handles in acrylic brushes as well, and that's great because if you leave your brush in the water, it's not going to swell and have the paint crack on you and be ruined. So that's basically it. The key is just to keep your brushes for the mediums that you're going to use them for. Now that said, if you are an acrylic painter and you want to try watercolor, you're not going to hurt your acrylic brushes by using them in watercolor. So you can kind of step down into into watercolor. It's not going to hurt them. But when you get your watercolor brushes, as long as you don't use them with any other type of paint, they'll last you forever. So that's what I mean about keeping your brushes separate. So. Yeah,
that's good.
Well, that's it. Slightly extended version of Ask a Crafter. That's all right. My computer's
back.
She's back. Well, we got a new computer, so it renders video quickly. Still takes a day and a half to upload it, but hey.
Oh my god.
Well, not that long, but man, the one I uploaded yesterday, the tutorial for that took like 6 hours to upload. It was crazy.
Wow.
Welcome to Mayberry.
Yeah.
Where we got cowgirls and slow internet. And chickens!
And chickens, plenty of clean, fluffy butts.
Fluffy butts. Well, on that note, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it below, and we will get to it next week on Ask a Crafter. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.